Picture this. You wake up Monday morning, grab your coffee, and scroll through your phone, only to discover that 120,000 Americans just lost their jobs in a single wave of corporate layoffs. Not over months or years, but in what feels like the blink of an eye. These aren't small startups or struggling mom-and-pop shops we're talking about. These are the titans of American business. Amazon, Google, Tesla, Disney, Boeing. The companies we thought were too big to fail, too essential to stumble, too powerful to bleed. But here's the thing about empires. They don't crumble with a bang. They collapse with a whisper, one pink slip at a time. What you're witnessing isn't just another round of corporate restructuring. It's the beginning of something much bigger, much scarier, and much more personal than any economist wants to admit. When the world's largest retailer starts firing the people who built its empire, when the smartest company on Earth begins cutting its own brain cells, when the future of transportation suddenly can't afford its own workforce, you're not looking at isolated business decisions anymore. You're staring directly into the fractures of an economy that's been held together by duct tape and false promises. The numbers alone should make your stomach drop. Amazon slashed 14,000 positions. Google eliminated 12,000 brilliant minds. Tesla cut 14,000 workers who believed they were building tomorrow. But numbers don't tell the real story. Behind every statistic is a family wondering how they'll pay rent next month, a community watching its economic foundation crumble, and a nation slowly waking up to the reality that the American dream has become unaffordable even for those who built it. Let's start with Amazon, because when the company that delivers everything to your doorstep can't deliver job security to its own people, something fundamental has broken. This isn't your typical seasonal adjustment or efficiency upgrade. Amazon eliminated positions across every division, from cloud computing engineers in Virginia to warehouse supervisors in Ohio. These weren't minimum wage package handlers. Many were skilled professionals, earning solid middle-class salaries, people with mortgages, families, and retirement plans that just evaporated overnight. The brutal irony is that Amazon grew fat during the pandemic, hiring aggressively as Americans stayed home and shopped online. The company's workforce swelled to 1.5 million people, making it the second largest private employer in the United States. But when consumer spending collapsed and inflation ate away at disposable income, Amazon discovered that growth built on credit cards and government stimulus checks wasn't sustainable. E-commerce revenue growth has dropped from 37% during the pandemic boom to barely 3% today. Those warehouses that once hummed with activity now echo with silence. But Amazon's cuts reveal something deeper than just business cycles. They expose the fragility of an economy built on consumption. When everyday Americans can't afford groceries, streaming services, or gadgets, even the world's biggest retailer starts bleeding. Consumer spending has dropped over 4% in real terms since mid-2024, and every percentage point represents billions in lost revenue for companies that bet everything on endless growth. Then there's Google, the company that literally organized the world's information and somehow forgot to organize its own future. Alphabet's decision to lay off 12,000 employees isn't just about cutting costs. It's about panic. This is the brain of Silicon Valley, admitting it can't think its way out of trouble. Engineers who developed the algorithms that power billions of devices received termination emails that felt colder than the code they wrote. Entire divisions in YouTube, Google Cloud, and hardware development were told to pack their bags. The real tragedy is how impersonal it all felt. Workers logged into their computers one morning to find their accounts disabled. Decades of service erased with a corporate form letter. The company that connected the world has never felt more disconnected from its own humanity. Digital advertising revenue, Google's lifeblood, fell by nearly 8%, wiping out $12 billion in projected profits. Companies are slashing marketing budgets, YouTube viewership is declining, and competitors are eating away at Google's search dominance. What makes this particularly devastating is that Google was supposed to be recession-proof. Search, advertising, cloud computing, these were the industries that thrived regardless of economic conditions. If Google is scared, if Google is cutting its most brilliant minds, then no company, no industry, and no worker is safe. Tesla's layoffs tell perhaps the most heartbreaking story of all. This was the company that promised to save the planet, to free us from oil dependence, to make transportation clean and sustainable. Elon Musk sold America a vision of the future where electric cars would democratize clean energy and create millions of high-paying manufacturing jobs. Instead, Tesla just fired 14,000 people who believed in that vision. Production facilities in Texas, Nevada, and California are scaling back as global demand for electric vehicles collapses. The problem isn't technology. The cars work, the batteries are improving, and the infrastructure is expanding. The problem is affordability. The average monthly payment for a Tesla Model Y has climbed above $900, pricing out the middle-class buyers who were supposed to drive the electric revolution. High interest rates have crushed car financing, and suddenly the future became a luxury that most Americans can't afford. Behind these corporate decisions lies a human catastrophe that spreadsheets can't capture. These aren't just jobs disappearing. These are careers, dreams, and entire communities built around these companies. In Seattle, cafes near Amazon's headquarters have seen customer traffic fall by 30%. In Mountain View, the silence around Google's campus is deafening. Small businesses that thrived on the spending power of tech workers are now struggling to survive. The psychological impact runs deeper than economics. These were the companies that represented American innovation, the places where smart, hardworking people could build meaningful careers while changing the world. Engineers who spent years perfecting artificial intelligence, logistics experts who revolutionized global commerce, designers who crafted the interfaces we use every day, all suddenly told their skills are no longer needed. What's particularly cruel is the timing. Many of these layoffs come just as these companies report record profits or massive revenue streams. Amazon's cloud division still generates $90 billion annually. Google's parent company is worth over $1.8 trillion. Tesla's market capitalization, despite recent declines, remains in the hundreds of billions. The money exists. The profits are there. But the priorities have shifted from building the future to protecting shareholder returns. This wave of layoffs exposes the fundamental disconnect between corporate success and worker security in modern America. Companies can be wildly profitable while simultaneously destroying the livelihoods of the people who made that profit possible. Stock prices can soar while pink slips flood employee inboxes. Executive bonuses can reach record highs while entire departments get eliminated. The ripple effects are already spreading beyond these corporate giants. Suppliers, contractors, and service providers who depend on these companies are seeing orders canceled and invoices go unpaid. Local tax revenues that fund schools, roads, and public services are evaporating as high-paying jobs disappear. Housing markets in tech-heavy regions are starting to soften as demand from well-paid professionals vanishes. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect of these layoffs is how normalized they've become. Wall Street celebrates job cuts as efficiency improvements. Stock prices often rise when companies announce layoffs. The human cost gets buried in corporate euphemisms like right-sizing, streamlining, and organizational optimization. We're reliving through a silent economic earthquake, and the aftershocks are just beginning. What started as corporate efficiency measures has morphed into something far more sinister: the systematic dismantling of America's middle class by the very companies that promise to strengthen it. When you dig beneath the surface of these layoffs, you discover a pattern so disturbing it should keep every working American awake at night. Take Boeing, once the crown jewel of American manufacturing, now hemorrhaging 12,000 skilled workers. This isn't just about airplane production or supply chain hiccups. Boeing's collapse represents the death of American industrial excellence. For over a century, this company stood as proof that America could build anything, engineer anything, and export that expertise to the world. Machinists, engineers, and technicians with decades of experience are walking out of factories for the last time, carrying with them knowledge that took generations to accumulate. The communities surrounding Boeing's facilities are experiencing economic devastation that goes far beyond the factory gates. In Everett and Renton, Washington, entire neighborhoods were built around Boeing's promise of stable, generational employment. Local housing markets are collapsing as families who never imagined unemployment suddenly find themselves unable to make mortgage payments. Small businesses that thrived on Boeing workers' paychecks are closing their doors permanently. What makes Boeing's downfall particularly tragic is that it was entirely preventable. This wasn't market forces or technological disruption. This was corporate greed prioritizing quarterly profits over safety, quality, and worker welfare. The same executives who collected multi-million-dollar bonuses while cutting corners on aircraft safety are now eliminating thousands of jobs to maintain their profit margins. Disney's layoffs reveal another layer of this economic horror story. The company that built dreams for generations is now crushing them with ruthless efficiency. 7,000 employees who dedicated their lives to creating magic for families worldwide have been discarded like outdated theme park attractions. These aren't just animators and ride operators. These are engineers, project managers, and creative professionals who helped define American entertainment culture. The human cost extends far beyond Disney's corporate boundaries. Central Florida's economy, built around the tourism empire that Disney created, is witnessing a cascade of business failures. Hotels, restaurants, souvenir shops, and transportation services that depended on Disney's workforce are seeing revenue plummet. Theme park attendance has dropped 18% year over year, not because people don't want magic, but because they can't afford the price of admission. When a single Disney World ticket costs $180 and hotel rooms average $400 per night, families earning median American incomes are effectively priced out of the American dream. Disney has transformed from a symbol of accessible joy into a luxury commodity reserved for the wealthy. The layoffs are simply the logical conclusion of a business model that prioritizes profit extraction over cultural contribution. Meta's massive job cuts expose the hollow foundation of the social media revolution. 20,000 employees who built the platforms that connected billions of people worldwide have been eliminated in pursuit of Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse obsession. Reality Labs, Meta's virtual reality division, has burned through $13 billion while producing virtually no meaningful revenue. Meanwhile, Facebook and Instagram are losing users to competitors as younger generations abandon platforms their parents use. The psychological damage within Meta runs deeper than financial loss. Employees describe a corporate culture of fear where survivors avoid eye contact, terrified they'll be selected for the next round of cuts. Entire departments have been merged or eliminated overnight, destroying years of collaborative work and institutional knowledge. A company that promised to bring people together is systematically tearing apart the lives of its own workforce. Warner Brothers, Discovery's entertainment industry, layoffs signal the collapse of another American cultural pillar. 5,000 employees who created the movies, shows, and content that defined popular culture have been sacrificed to service $48 billion in corporate debt. Entire animation studios have been shuttered, beloved television series have been canceled mid-production, and decades of creative work have been written off as tax losses. The ripple effects are devastating Hollywood's ecosystem. Costume designers, set builders, makeup artists, and countless other creative professionals who work project to project are finding themselves without work as production budgets evaporate. California and Georgia, the twin engines of American film and television production, are watching entire communities built around entertainment dissolve. UPS layoffs represent perhaps the most visceral sign of economic collapse because they directly measure how much stuff Americans are buying and shipping. 12,000 job cuts at the logistics giant that once moved 25 million packages daily tells us everything we need to know about consumer confidence. When shipping volume drops from 25 million to 18 million packages per day, that's not market adjustment. That's economic freefall. The communities built around UPS distribution centers are experiencing economic devastation. Roswell, Georgia, Louisville, Kentucky, and dozens of other cities that grew around logistics hubs are watching their economic foundations crumble. Local businesses that survived on UPS worker spending are closing permanently. The brown trucks that once symbolized American commercial reliability are becoming symbols of economic abandonment. Intel's semiconductor layoffs mark the end of American technological supremacy. 15,000 workers who designed and manufactured the computer chips that powered the digital revolution have been eliminated as foreign competitors capture market share. The company that gave the world microprocessors and made personal computing possible is admitting defeat in the face of Asian manufacturing efficiency and innovation. This isn't just about one company or one industry. Intel's collapse represents America's surrender of its technological leadership to countries that invest in manufacturing, while we financialize everything. The government's $39 billion CHIPS Act subsidies, arrived too late to prevent the bleeding. By the time politicians recognized the strategic importance of semiconductor manufacturing, the expertise and infrastructure had already migrated overseas. Finally, Walmart's job cuts represent the ultimate economic warning signal. When the nation's largest private employer, the company that employs 1.6 million Americans, starts eliminating 25,000 positions, every working person should pay attention. This isn't corporate restructuring. This is the final acknowledgement that the American consumer economy has run out of consumers with money to spend. Walmart built its empire on the promise of everyday low prices for everyday Americans. But when everyday Americans can't afford even Walmart's prices, the entire consumption-based economic model collapses. Credit card debt has reached $1.3 trillion, the highest in American history. Families that once shopped regularly at Walmart are now rationing purchases, buying only absolute necessities. The automation replacing human workers at Walmart isn't just about efficiency. It's about survival in an economy where even minimum wage jobs have become too expensive to sustain. Self-checkout machines don't need health insurance, sick days, or living wages. They represent the future that corporate America envisions: maximum profit extraction with minimal human involvement. These 120,000 layoffs are not isolated incidents. They're symptoms of a much larger disease eating away at the foundation of American prosperity. We're witnessing the controlled demolition of the middle class by the same corporations that once promised to strengthen it. So here we stand at the edge of an economic cliff, watching 120,000 jobs vanish into the corporate ether while executives count their bonuses and shareholders celebrate efficiency gains. This isn't just another business cycle or temporary market correction. This is the moment when the mask finally slips, revealing an economy that was never designed to serve the people who built it. From Amazon's silent warehouses to Google's empty campuses, from Tesla's shuttered production lines to Walmart's automated checkout lanes, we're witnessing the systematic dismantling of the American promise. The companies that once symbolized innovation, opportunity, and progress have become extraction machines, harvesting value from human labor while discarding the humans themselves. But here's what the corporate press won't tell you, and what Wall Street doesn't want you to understand. This isn't inevitable. This isn't natural market forces or unstoppable technological progress. This is a choice. A deliberate decision to prioritize profit over people, shareholders over communities, and quarterly earnings over generational stability. The 120,000 workers losing their jobs today are the canaries in the coal mine of American capitalism. Their pink slips are early warning signals that the entire system is collapsing under the weight of its own greed. When the giants stumble, everyone feels the earthquake. And this earthquake is just getting started. The question isn't whether more layoffs are coming. The question is whether we'll finally recognize that an economy built on exploitation and extraction cannot sustain itself forever. The American dream didn't die by accident. It was murdered by spreadsheets, automated out of existence, and buried beneath corporate euphemisms. What happens next depends on whether we choose to keep believing the lies or start building something better from the wreckage.